Now I'm going to take a walk through the Sindoh desktop software. This is their slicing software. And I'll just go load a model that I have. It's an STL file. It's a bottom case off of an Arduino case. And you can navigate around in here, rotate in various axes, lay the model flat. And because this is a dual extruder model, you can choose what color. So if I say print with cartridge 2, it'll print in the blue PLA, or cartridge 1 is in the white PLA as indicated on the left. They're the two PLA loaded cartridges. Now also you can set different colors for different layers. So on this model, I can move this slider and say I want to go up here to this layer and pick a particular area and then add a layer and change which cartridge. So then it'll say from that point up it'll print in blue. And you can add other various layers manually. We'll reset here. Or what you can do is do an equal distribution. So let's say I want 5 equal layers from the bottom up to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one is that white on top of the peg there. So it broke it up into 5 different cartridge changes, filament changes. That's pretty neat. Now in the settings, I'm in the advanced settings. Over here they have it listed now for cartridge 1 and cartridge 2. Supports standard, either touching, build plate, or everywhere. Bed adhesion options, same. Skirt, brim, or raft. I don't usually mess with these options. There's some information online and in the manual as to how to use them, but there are times when you might want to use those options. Now for each cartridge there's a profile. Is it Sindoh PLA, ABS flexible, and you can create new profiles for your open materials. And your layer height, your nozzle temperature, these can be changed here. They have a 200 for their PLA. The bed temperature, 60. And there's this nice pop-up help as you hover over each of the settings that explains to you what you're changing. Some of these are grayed out. In this panel you have your quality and shell, basically the wall thickness and the first layer width, the Z offset, things like that. Infill, which pattern, automatic, grid, line, concentric. So they give you a few nice options there. Speed, I typically print at 40 millimeters per second. Travel speed is 130. And this is your retraction settings. So the speed and the length of the retractions are the ones you would change most, plus your cooling for your fan. This is if you're using multi-nozzles. Here you can load the model, save the model, or load G-code, switch from easy to advanced, create custom profiles, look at your printer settings. So this shows the 2X printer, how many nozzles, here's all the different models, the printing size of the bed. You can even look at the start and end G-code. So if you were doing something with Simplify, you could copy and paste this over to Simplify 3D. Different views. This is where you add your printers when you have multiple printers. And here's the web monitor, which will show you what your printer is currently doing. That's pretty neat. There's a camera and LED light inside. You can watch it. And then just various settings, temperature and language, update your software and what version you're currently on. This is the support view, so if you want to edit manual supports, and this is the layer view, which will generate, so you can go through the layers to preview what it's going to do in the G-code to print. Show just the current layer. Turn off the travel path. And here you can move the model around. Mostly would use this to move it to the center. Make sure it's in the center of the bed when you're printing. Or you can say move it 7 millimeters this way or that way. Scale it. Scale it uniformly or not. And then rotate it around any of the axes or lay it flat on the bed for printing. These are just some view cubes. Look at it from the top or the side or the bottom. Pretty nice software, pretty capable. I've used it extensively and exclusively for this 2X review. Not going over to Simplify 3D right now for anything, and it's done everything I've needed to do. It's very nice. Now I wanted to create a model that had 2 different colors on same layers. And so to do that, I figured out I had to use 2 separate STLs that I created in Fusion. One was sort of the outline and the other was the infill, if you want to call it that. And I chose both of them in here after imported and said merge objects. Now I've got one object that I can center and move around all together, but they're 2 separate meshes, so I can assign those different meshes to different filaments or cartridges by choosing the arrow up in the upper right. So I still have my 2 meshes, my inside and my outside. And see, if I go up here, I could say mesh 1 is cartridge 1, mesh 2 uses cartridge 2 or filament 2, which is the orange. Now this box took me a little bit to figure out too. What it's saying is if I have it checked to use custom color, that's for open materials. So I can go in here and say open material 1 is black, open material 2, and I can choose a custom color in here so that it's correct, and when I check the box, that shows that. That's because the software doesn't know what color is in there if you're not using chipped Sindoh filament. If you're using open material, you have to manually tell it what the color is. So that's cool, that worked out. Now also I created different profiles. So my orange is this Hatchbox filament. So I created an open source or an open material profile for my Hatchbox orange filament with all the settings that I needed, and then I can choose that profile for printing. Here are my custom profiles, the Hatchbox, and I actually had to make a Sindoh PLA one even though it's their material, because you can't right now mix chipped cartridge Sindoh filament with open material. It either has to be all chipped cartridge or all open material. So I just pulled their spool out and stuck it in manually and then created a profile for it so I could use it together with my Hatchbox. And that's how I set up for a 2-color print.